In this episode, we will learn about parts of speech. There are several parts of speech classified in English language. However, the following 9 divisions are widely accepted. They are noun, pronoun, adjective, determiner, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. In smaller classes, children are taught 7 parts of speech: noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, and conjunction. Here, we will focus on 9 parts of speech. We learned about sentence in the first episode. What is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words that gives a complete sense. It is something we speak or write. So, when we speak or write a sentence, our speech contains several parts. Let us learn about parts of speech one by one. The most important part of speech is verb. The entire episodes of my classes are focused on the verb. We shall learn about the verb in detail in the next episodes. Let us start with the second most important part of speech, noun. What is a noun? In our childhood, we have learned that a noun is a name of a person, a place, a thing, or an idea. But the terms thing and idea are vague. Vague means aspashtam. Let us see how many types of nouns are there. We already know that there are 4 types of nouns: proper noun, common noun, collective noun, and abstract noun. Different scholars divided the noun in different manners. Here are a few more divisions: concrete noun, material noun, compound noun. I shall explain all of these with illustrations. Let us take proper noun first. A proper noun is a proper name given to any person, animal, thing, place, river, mountain, etc. Each person is given a proper name or a specific name. Remember that such names are not generic. Generic means samanya, puduve ulladu. For example, I had been given a specific name by my parents, Varghese VC, Varghese Valiyavittil Chaku. The first letter of each word of a proper noun should be capitalized. Varghese Valiyavittil Chaku, VVC are capitalized. There is a tendency of writing small letters by youngsters while sending a message. They never follow this rule. They simply write Varghese Valiyavittil Chaku. It is not a good practice. You should maintain the practice of capitalizing each word of a proper noun. There are so many animals. Each animal has a common name. This animal is an elephant. But if a particular elephant has been given a specific name, it won't be called an elephant. It is called Guruvayur Keshavan. A book is a common name for a particular kind or thing. If we want to know about a particular book, it is given a proper or specific name: Bible. There are many common names for places such as villages, towns, cities, etc. But if a specific name is given to a town as Sihora, it is a proper noun. There are so many rivers in a landscape. Each one is called commonly as river. But each river is given a specific name also. For example, the longest and the largest river in India is known as Ganga. Many hills and mountains are found in a landscape. We commonly call them hill or mountain. But when we say about a proper or specific mountain, it is given a name. The name of a particular mountain is the proper noun. For example, Everest. Now, let us discuss the common noun. A common noun is the generic name for a person, animal, place, or thing in a class group. A common noun is not capitalized unless a sentence is begun with this noun. For example, tiger is our national animal. Here, tiger is a common noun. It is capitalized because it begins with a sentence. If it appears in a title, of course, it is capitalized. In this title, gift and chappals are common nouns but capitalized as they appear in a title. Let us see any person as a common noun. If we speak or write about a boy or a girl, it means any boy or girl commonly we see. A common noun can be the name of a person used for a common class or group. There can be many boys and girls in a particular group or class. All of them are called boys or girls commonly. A boy introduces himself. He uses a common noun and a proper noun.
Hi, I am a boy. I am Rajesh.
A girl introduces herself in two ways.
Hi, I am a girl. I am Rajeshwari.
There are different animals around us. We have given them different names commonly. Dog, tiger, camel, cat, etc. If we find a dog in a class or group, we call it a dog. But if a person carrying a dog with him on a morning walk, he has given it a proper name to say tiger. Here, this tiger doesn't mean the wild animal tiger. It is a specific name given to a pet dog. Another common noun is the name of any place. There are different types of places that have some common names, such as ground, road, market, field, etc. Each material or thing in the world has a name. They represent a particular class or group, such as bus, table, pineapple, cabbage, etc. Now, let us see how can we distinguish between a proper noun and common noun when a particular word is used on different occasions. President Pranab Mukherjee visited Queen Elizabeth II at Buckingham Palace. Most of the words in this sentence are proper nouns. Each word is capitalized. President Pranab Mukherjee, Queen Elizabeth II, Buckingham Palace. See this sentence. Mr. Pranab Mukherjee visited many queens, presidents and palaces during his tenure as the President of India. In the first sentence, the words president, queen and palace are proper and specifically used as proper nouns. Whereas in the second sentence, queens, presidents and palaces are used commonly for all. Hence they are not capitalized. Now let us proceed to know about collective noun. A collective noun is a word used to represent a group of people, animals or things. Here are some examples of the group of people. A band of musicians, a board of directors, a choir of singers, a class of students, a crowd of people, a gang of thieves, a crew of a ship, a panel of experts, a team of players, a troupe of dancers, a staff of workers, a group of people. These are some examples of the group of animals. An army of ants, a brood of chickens, a flock of sheep, a herd of deer, a hive of bees, a litter of puppies, a murder of crows, a pack of horns, a clutch of rabbits, a shoal of fish, a swarm of locusts, a pride of lions. Let us see some examples of the group of things. A bouquet of flowers, a bunch of keys, a fleet of ships, a forest of trees, a galaxy of stars, a pack of cards, a pile of garbage, pairs of shoes, a range of mountains, a wad of currency, a heap of sand, a set of cups. Some of the above mentioned collective nouns are flexible. Some are quite versatile. Versatile means bahumukhi, yani asthir. Bahumukhi, allengil asthiram. That means some collective nouns are commonly used in different groups. The collective noun pack is used for different things such as persons, animals, things, and actions. A pack of thieves, a pack of wolves, a pack of cards, a pack of lies. The collective noun group also is used for persons, animals, things, and actions. A group of children, a group of cows, a group of songs, a group of activities. Generally, a collective noun acts as a singular noun, subject, or object in a sentence. It is taken as a single unit. Hence, the verb agreement is made as per the singular subject. For example, the herd of deer was moving towards the south. Here, the group of deer was doing the same collective action. So, the herd is taken as a singular subject and the verb was moving agrees with the subject the herd as a single unit. But after some time, some of them went to the north and some went towards the east and even others went to the west. The sentence is, later the herd were darting to all directions. In this sentence, the subgroups of the herd were dissolved in different directions with different actions. Hence, the verb were darting agrees with the herd taking as a plural subject. Let us take another example. The audience is happy. The second one, the audience are whistling in different tones. In the first sentence, the audience is taken as a single unit with same action. In the second one, the audience is taken as a plural subject because different people in the audience were acting differently.
Mizpah Mission School, an institution faithfully serving learners for the past 28 years. Mizpah Mission, a goal-oriented institution. Mizpah Mission, a community of wholehearted educators. Mizpah Mission, an academy of healthy academe. To know us more, check our website www.mizpahmissionshr.org.
Let us further learn about abstract nouns. An abstract noun is the name of an invisible concept such as an emotion, a feeling, a quality, or an idea. In other words, an abstract noun does not refer to any physical object which can be seen or touched, but it can be felt. In short, we can say that an abstract noun can't be felt by our five sense organs. We cannot see, hear, smell, taste, or touch them. We can find several meanings for the word abstract in a dictionary. Summary, essence, intangible, immaterial, discrete, etc. In this context, we can have this meaning. An abstract noun means intangible and invisible concepts. In Hindi and Malayalam, it is beautifully defined. Abstract noun मतलब भाववाचक संख्या यानी अमूर्त संख्या. Abstract noun എന്നാൽ ഭാവാത്മക നാമം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അമൂർത്ത നാമം. The opposite of abstract noun is concrete noun or material noun. Let us learn about different kinds of abstract nouns as concepts with a few examples and illustrations. First of all, feelings. Some examples: anxiety, fear, pleasure, stress, sympathy. Some examples for emotions: anger, hate, joy, grief, and sorrow. Courage, patience, determination, generosity, and honesty are the examples of qualities. Concepts are other kinds of abstract noun. Examples: charity, deceit, opportunity, comfort, democracy. Now, let's think about some kinds of moments. Some examples for moments: birthday, childhood, marriage, career, death. Now, some concepts of states are there. Example: being or any kind of action. Here we can say example: dancing, freedom, misery, chaos, luxury. Here I want to clear one thing, that each kind of action has a name. It is known as gerund. It comes under the heading of being. For example, writing, reading, sleeping, clapping, finding, etc. are the actions as well as their names. Now, let us see the contrast between abstract nouns and concrete nouns. An abstract noun is intangible, whereas a concrete noun is tangible. That means a concrete noun can be experienced with our five sense organs. Let us see some examples of abstract nouns which cannot be experienced with the sense organs, and let us match them with the concrete or material nouns related to those abstract nouns. You can be in a state of luxury wearing a silk. You will be successful in a project if you have got enough money. You need the energy to drive a car. You can keep friendship only if you have a good friend. Some people think that if they get a horseshoe from the road, it is luck. A mother's love is experienced by her affectionate kisses. It is not always easy to differentiate between an abstract noun and a concrete noun. For example, laughter is often cited as an abstract noun, but laughter can be heard, which would make it a concrete noun. Classifying a noun as abstract or concrete may depend on the context or even the classifier's definition of perceivable. Look at these two examples taking dream as both abstract and concrete nouns. It was my dream to make a series of animated classes in English grammar. Another sentence with same word dream. I saw a dream of my students sending congratulations on the interesting animated classes. The dream in the first sentence is a wish or a deep desire of your life which cannot be experienced through your sense organs. Whereas the dream in the second sentence is an action because a dream is perceived via your senses. Hence, we should not be worried to classify the nouns which appear both as abstract and concrete. We have learned about 4 divisions of noun: proper noun, common noun, collective noun, and abstract noun. Some scholars have made a few more partitions. One is material noun. A material noun is a supplement of the common noun. A material noun is a name given to a material, substance, or a thing made up of something. For example, metal is a common noun. Iron, gold, aluminium, silver, etc. are material nouns made out of metal. Most of the material nouns are uncountable nouns, such as cloth, air, gold, salt, iron, silver, steel, brass, bronze, copper, aluminium, lead, coal, gem, diamond, glass, fiber, calcium, plastic, rubber, paper, cement, paint, plywood, synthetics, shampoo, soap, perfume, etc. Now, let us discuss about the genders of noun. There are 4 genders in English. Masculine gender for males. Examples: boy, brother, cock, father, husband, son, man, uncle, etc. Feminine gender for females: girl, sister, hen, mother, wife, daughter, woman, aunt, etc. Common gender for either sex: bird, child, cousin, enemy, friend, parent, teacher, student, etc. Neuter gender for non-living things: book, box, glass, house, pen, stone, table, car, etc. Can we form the feminine from the masculine? Some feminine nouns can be formed by adding a suffix or prefix to masculine nouns, but some cannot. Both are different. For example, the feminine noun of boy is girl, feminine of dog is bitch, feminine of king is queen, and that of man is woman. By adding a suffix in the end, we can change some masculine nouns into feminine. Actor is masculine, its feminine is actress. Host will be hostess. Lion will be changed into lioness. Waiter will be waitress. By adding a feminine word instead of the masculine one: cousin, boy cousin and girl cousin, father, grandfather and grandmother, friend, boyfriend and girlfriend, beer, he beer and she beer. Now, let us know about different forms of noun. There are 3 forms of nouns: the simple noun, the compound noun, and the derivative noun. Simple noun. Examples for the simple noun are ball, bow, chair, school, knife, song, pencil, rail, rain, cell phone, snow, wing, etc. Now, let's see compound noun. Examples for the compound noun are am, and chair is added to make armchair. Black and board joined together to make blackboard. Rail and way joined to make railway. Rain and bow are joined to get rainbow. School and girl are joined to get schoolgirl. Snow and ball made into snowball. Here, one thing we have to note that the first word in a compound noun is the qualifier, and if the positions are reversed, the meaning also is changed. For example, eye and glass made eyeglass. It means spectacles. If it is reversed into glass eye, then meaning changes. It means an eye made of glass. Likewise, lamp and oil joined to make lamp oil. It means oil used in a lamp. If it is reversed into oil lamp, it means a lamp lightened with oil. Now, let us proceed to derivative noun. The examples for the derivative noun are build plus ing, building. Child and hood, childhood. Dedicate plus ion, dedication. Friend plus ship, friendship. Generous plus ity, generosity. Happy plus ness, happiness. Strong plus strength. Right plus writer. Here we have to note that if a compound noun is formed with a vowel at the end of the word and the suffix starts with a vowel, only one vowel will be taken. For example, right end vowel is E and suffix er starting vowel is E. Two E's are there. But when we compound both of them to make a word writer, only one E is taken. What is countable and uncountable nouns? Some nouns are countable and others are uncountable. Countable nouns, for example, one boy, two cats, three chairs, 4 eggs. Uncountable nouns, for example, ice, ink, salt, tea. The countable nouns are both singular and plural. For example, a pupil, pupils, chair, chairs. This is a schoolboy. These are schoolboys. The uncountable nouns have only singular. For example, salt is in the box, water is in the bottle, gold is preferred by all ladies. However, some uncountable nouns can be both singular and plural. For example, ice is plural and ice is singular. Example, igloo is a house made of ice, singular. Example for plural, please give me an ice cream. Next one, a glass, singular, and glasses, plural. Sentences, it is easy to break the glass. This is a singular noun. I drank 3 glasses of milk today. Here we see glasses as plural. Dear learners, in the first episode we learned about the sentence. Then we had a detailed study of the noun today. It is the second most important part of speech. To conclude this lesson on noun, we will see, finally, roles of noun in a sentence. The noun principally plays 3 roles. The role of the subject. A noun plays the role of the subject of a sentence. For example, my sister received an award from the chief minister. Here, sister is a noun and it acts as the subject of this sentence. The role of the object. A noun plays the role of the object in a sentence. Let us see the above sentence. My sister received an award from the chief minister. Here, award is a noun and it acts as the object of the sentence. Then, the role of a compliment. A noun plays the role of a compliment also. Have a look at the above sentence again. My sister received an award from the chief minister. Here, chief minister is a noun that takes the role of a compliment. Then comes the role of object of a preposition. A noun acts an object of a preposition given in a sentence. Let us modify the above sentence. My sister received an award with pride from the chief minister. Here, pride is a noun that acts as the object of the preposition with. Finally, the role of a noun in apposition. Let us see how a noun plays the role of apposition in a sentence. To know this, we have to modify the sentence again. My sister, a famous poet, received an award with pride from the chief minister. Here, poet is a noun acting as the apposition of the subject, my sister. Let us analyze the whole sentence again. My sister, a famous poet, received an award with pride from the chief minister. In this sentence, we see 5 roles of 5 different nouns. Sister is the subject of this sentence. Award is the object of this sentence. The complement of the sentence is chief minister. Poet takes the role of an apposition to the subject, my sister, whereas pride acts as the complement of the preposition with. Dear learners, here we put an end to the class on noun. In the next episode, we shall meet again with another subject, pronoun and adjective. Thank you.